Tonight, the first glimpse of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's work is drawing divided responses from supporters and opponents of President Trump.
Yeah, the president claiming victory here, while top Democrats in Congress say the report does not put President Trump in the clear. Here's Mike Valerio.
Tonight, White House aides say the joy is on par with the 2016 election, a moment of vindication for President Trump, at least when it comes to cries of no collusion with Russia.
No collusion.
No collusion.
No collusion with the Russian hoax.
The first major finding from the Mueller probe revealed today, quote, the special counsel's investigation did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it conspired or coordinated with Russia in its efforts to influence the 2016 U.S. presidential election.
It was a complete and total exoneration.
But that is only half the battle. Robert Mueller didn't draw a conclusion on whether the president tried to obstruct justice. The special counsel left that point unresolved, but said Trump may not be innocent when it comes to obstruction, a point seized by Democrats.
Special counsel Mueller was clear that his report, quote, does not exonerate, close quote, the president.
Since Mueller didn't make a judgment on obstruction, Attorney General Bill Barr and Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein did, saying the president did nothing illegal. That is perceived by Democrats as a controversial call, since both men are handpicked by the president. Regardless, Mr. Trump returned to Washington emboldened, taking no questions, offering only this.
America is the greatest place on earth.
Now, even though just a summary came out today, we still have some staggering numbers on just how comprehensive Mueller's effort was. 2,800 subpoenas, 40 FBI agents, and the list goes on there on your screen, ending with 500 witnesses. The next fight, Democrats will want to see the full report and all of the underlying documents so they can see for themselves how these conclusions were made. Delia, Lorenzo.